President Alphonso David.
Thank you, Morgan, for that introduction and for your leadership. Morgan is now going to be the co-chair for the Human Rights Campaign. Congratulations to Morgan. I'm very excited to be here in Dallas today. This is my first time in Dallas, not my first time in Texas, but my first time in Dallas, and it will not be my last. It will not be my last. I will be back in November for the black tie dinner. Yes. First, I would like to begin by acknowledging other members of the Board of Directors who are here. Ann Fay, I believe, is here, Jim Harrison, and Rob Webb. From our Board Emeritus Counsel, Lucula Pina and Kathy Solis. And I also want to thank our Board of Governors and Steering Committee members who are here with us today. Thank you. Also, the Black Tie Dinner co-chairs, Nate Robbins and Jeremy Hopp, and the entire board of the Black Tie Dinner. Thank you. And then finally, to all of the major donors and federal club members that are here in Dallas. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your support. If not for your support and your leadership, the work of HRC would not be possible. And what I've learned about Dallas is that it has an incredible, generous community here, and that you're able to support so many different diverse causes and work collaboratively to advance equality. Your engagement has and continues to be important to the Human Rights Campaign and what we're doing. We know that the Human Rights Campaign can make positive change. I know that because I've been tracking this organization for years, and I've been a civil rights lawyer for 20 years, tracking the 40-year history of the Human Rights Campaign. We can change so much of what we see happening now in government. But we need to make that change not only with LGBT leaders, but also our allies. So I want to thank all of you for being so supportive of the organization for so long. And that's why through Project One America, the Human Rights Campaign is prioritizing several states, including Texas. And here in Texas, we have a full staff on the ground, including 3 members of our staff who are working here in Texas to move equality forward. Rebecca, that I think many of you know, Chris, and Sissy. I want to thank all of them. And so today, I'm very pleased, as a part of my national tour, I'm traveling to many states throughout this country, and I wanted to come here to Dallas to really endorse 2 candidates that have been so supportive of LGBTQ equality. The candidates that have been supportive of our community day in and day out. The first is Colin Allred. In 2018, the Human Rights Campaign made a major investment in races across Texas, deploying staff and volunteers to help mobilize voters and elect pro-equality candidates up and down the ballot. And our work paid off. Since being elected to the United States House of Representatives in 2018 and ousting one of the most anti-equality, anti-LGBT lawmakers to ever walk the halls of Congress, Representative Allred has been a champion for LGBTQ people. He not only voted to pass the Equality Act, he co-sponsored the Equality Act, and we want to thank him for that. Not only did he co-sponsor the Equality Act, but he voted for every piece of pro-equality LGBT legislation in the 116th Congress. His leadership has been instrumental to advancing legislation that will protect our community from discrimination. Thank you, Congressman. Our second endorsement is the Texas State House Representative Julie Johnson. Now, here in Texas, Julie has been a true change maker. She, as a member of the newly created LGBTQ caucus in the Texas State House, Representative Johnson helped lead the charge in defeating 22 anti-LGBTQ bills that were introduced in the state legislature this year. Thank you, Julie. As an out member of the legislature and as a former Human Rights Campaign board member, Julie is truly changing hearts and minds throughout this country. These two leaders are living proof, and they remind us why elections matter. Both in Washington and in Austin, they have fought to defend marginalized communities and advance the common good. We are proud to put the full force of the Human Rights Campaign behind their bids for re-election. Please join me in welcoming Congressman Colin Allred and State Representative Julie Johnson. We will first hear comments from Congressman Allred.
All right. Well, like Alphonso said, this might be his first time in Dallas, but I don't think it'll be his last. Listen, the story of what happened in 2018 here in Texas is one of people, ordinary people, who came together to decide that their politics weren't reflecting their values. I mean, the Dallas that I grew up in, was raised here by a single mother who was a public school teacher, going to our public schools here, was not reflected by my predecessor. And I thought, yeah, he's been there for 22 years. Yeah, he's chairman of a powerful committee, but I think this community is ready for change. But that thought wouldn't have done anything if it weren't for groups like HRC and people like the folks who are here in this room today who decide to spend your evenings and your weekends knocking on doors in the heat, talking to your neighbors. Morgan had a huge sticker on the side of his car that I think he made for us, driving around in the Coxmobile, having difficult conversations at times, talking to people about voting and getting engaged in their democracy who hadn't been before. That's what happened in 2018. We had an incredible turnout in 2018. People were always trying to figure out what happened. They say, well, was it you? Was it Beto? Was it Trump? And I tell them, no, it was this community. It decided that it was ready for change. It organized itself. But there has to be groups like HRC out there to push for the fundamental rights that we all know have to be respected in law. When we passed the Equality Act, the Republicans and the opponents of equality tried to put forward a number of false narratives about what it would mean going forward. They even used the idea of people changing their gender identity so they could cheat in sports. That was an argument made on the House floor against voting for the Equality Act. And now we see in this administration, the Department of Labor is right now actively trying to expand the ability for any business to fire somebody who works for them because they disagree with their sexual orientation or how they identify. That's going on right now in 2019 in America. We all know, of course, that here in Texas, you can still be fired for who you are and who you love. That's why we need the Equality Act. But it takes 218 of us to raise our hands at the same time for equality. We did that in the House. In fact, we got more than that. But now, all of us have to come together and put pressure on the Senate, because this is not a partisan issue, whether or not you believe in equality or whether or not you believe that people should be treated the same no matter who they love or how they identify. It shouldn't be a partisan issue. And it shouldn't be just that we let them off because the Senate isn't under our control. They can't get off that easy. If they're against equality, they should have to have a vote, be on record, and we should know who they are. That's what HRC is pushing for. But they also, of course, here in 2020, want to take us backwards. Julie and I flipped seats that had been held by folks who were mentioned who were not pro-equality. But now, all of the forces that surrounded those previous predecessors want to get involved and say, you know what, we're going to go back to the way it was. We're going to go back. We're going to take this seat back. But that's not who we are here. I think we're looking forward. I think we're looking forward to 2020 being a better year for us and a better year for pro-equality candidates than 2018. But that's why HRC is so important, because the fight isn't over. You know, we have a little bit of a history of sometimes when we have an election where we get somebody elected that we want to, we think that, oh, well, the work is done. You know, when President Obama was elected, I know a lot of folks thought, well, that's it. The work is done. But we see that the work can never finish. Even marriage equality, which we all celebrated and which we all know should be enshrined in law and legislation instead of just through our Supreme Court, is in question. We don't know what's going to happen with the Supreme Court. What we can control is who represents us in our government. We have to move away from the idea that we're going to rely on the courts to defend our rights. They may not. We have to go out there now and affirmatively enshrine in law the rights that we all know that everyone deserves in this country. It begins with legislation like the Equality Act, but it doesn't stop there. And I know HRC is on the front lines of so many of those battles. Like Alphonso, I was a civil rights attorney before I came here, before I came to Congress. And I can tell you that when you're on the front lines of civil rights and you look around, there's only a few organizations, there's only a few people who always are there no matter what. And HRC is one of them. Of all of the support that I receive from any group, there might not be any that I'm more proud of having than HRC because of its history, because of the broad focus of its membership, and because of the importance, the critical importance of its mission. We can't go backwards in this country, but it's not written in stone anywhere. It doesn't say that we're going to continue to progress. It doesn't say that every election is going to be better than the last election for us. It's not written anywhere for us. It requires every generation of Americans in every election cycle getting involved and being involved in their democracy. It's not a spectator sport. You can't just sit back and watch the wins and losses and comment on it around the water cooler the next day. You have to be involved, and you are, and that's what I want to thank you for. So thank you so much for this incredible support. I will need your help in this next re-election to make sure we don't go backwards. But I promise you this, in every single time when a bill comes to the House floor of the United States Congress that's pro-equality, I will be there standing with you. And thank you for standing with me. And with that, I'll turn it over to my good friend and our new state representative and a leader already in the State House, Julie Johnson.
Y'all all look so pretty out there. There's nothing more beautiful than a room of gay people coming together, caring, being active, sharing our voice that we're not going to take discrimination. We're coming together and we're going to stand up for one another. You know, the Human Rights Campaign was the very first organization that endorsed me this past election cycle, and I'm pleased to say it's the very first organization to endorse me in my next election. You know, I've been part of the Human Rights Campaign family since 1995, and all of you all in this organization is so very special to me because we are on the front lines of change. You know, if you think back to what life was like for each one of us 20 years ago, think of all the progress that we've achieved together. But we still have a long way to go. You know, we were able to form the first ever LGBTQ caucus, which was wonderful. And we were able to achieve a lot of wonderful things this past session. But we still had to fight back 22 anti-gay bills. Why were they even filed? Why do we have people in our Texas House that are filing 22 anti-LGBT bills? That needs to stop. You know, and just even this week, so I was able to add my lovely wife, Sue, on my health insurance for the state of Texas. I think she should change her name, but she hasn't done that yet. But, You know, the best part of one of this whole thing is, you know, for all this time, our invitations were always Dr. Susan Moster and Julie Johnson. And now I have leapfrogged her. And I didn't know about that great perk, or I would have run a long time ago. But so I was able to add her as my spouse on my state insurance. But you know what? We received correspondence this week that I have to supply my marriage certificate, my marriage license, to prove that we're married. Now, do you think my straight counterparts have had to do that? I'm going to investigate that, something serious. Because Mama is hot mad about it. Because, you know, I don't think, I mean, did you have to supply proof of your wedding when you declared your spouse? So I am just mad as all get out because I don't think that's right. You know, and so even now, we have to fight. There are people in our state that do not want to see us achieve our full equality. There are people in our state government in positions of state power. They're going to use their power to make us go through extra hoops, do the extra steps, just like I'm having to do to get Sue on my health insurance. Well, that is not right, and we should not have to do that. And so our journey is far from over. Just because we've achieved marriage equality, which is obviously a wonderful thing, we have so much work yet to do to protect it and to ensure that we've achieved the full equality that we all deserve. And not only thus in this room, but all the young people out there. To me, the most powerful thing that has happened over our caucus is I can't tell you the countless amount of young people that have come up to me with tears in their eyes and just joy in their heart. Can I have a hug? For the first time, I feel validated in my state government. For the first time, I feel heard and I feel seen. And I know that I have people there fighting for me. And that is so powerful. And I want all of y'all to take the good feelings that brings, take it home with you, because you're why I was elected. Your support and your financial support and your block walking and everything else that this group has done is what made that possible. You know, we had the first ever trans youth intern day in the Texas House of Representatives, where people came in, they interned and they lobbied in our office, they worked and got to be part of our government and seen and validated. And we had a rally on the Capitol steps celebrating all these wonderful, talented young people. Do you think that's ever happened before in our state capitol? No. And we had not only the 5 of us in our caucus, but we also have about 25 other allies who participated in the program too. And it was just transformative. It was wonderful. And to see the hope and promise in these young people's eyes makes it all worth it. And that is why we do what we do. Because many of us in this room, we're accomplished, we're professionals, we've achieved so many things. Nobody's going to fire me from being gay from my own law firm. You know, nobody's going to do anything to me personally. But we have to be, you know, symbols of light and hope for those young people that are still trying to find their way. And that is our responsibility when we've achieved the success that we've achieved in our lives. And so it's such a great honor to be in the Texas House, to be loud and proud, to be out there screaming from the mountaintop. We are here. We deserve equality. You cannot discriminate against us. We want our equal shots to participate in the American dream, and that the state of Texas deserves to treat us all with dignity and respect, just like they do every other citizen of this state. So, this next election cycle is critical. We cannot step back. We have to continue to push forward. We need to elect more of us to the State House. We need to grow our caucus. We need to involve more of us in the political experience, make our voices known, let candidates know that we were here, our community helped elect them, and we deserve accountability, and we do not want to see 22 anti-LGBT bills filed in the next session. We want to see 22 pro-LGBT bills filed in the next session and see them passed. So, with all of your help, we're going to need to fight, continue to fight. My race is a target. They don't want to see us to come back, but we're here to prove them wrong. We're going to work just as hard to make sure that I return and those of my fellow caucus mates return as well. I need your help. We need your support. Please stay with us through the process. But mostly I want to thank the Human Rights Campaign because you've given me my political voice for 2 decades. You have been there side by side and have allowed me to participate and find my way through the Board of Governors, through the Board of Directors, and co-chairing the Public Policy Committee. And I am absolutely convinced that the Human Rights Campaign is the single most important political gay organization in this country, and all of your support helps makes it possible. So thank you so very much. I'm so honored to have the endorsement, and I'm so honored to have you all be my friends. Thank you very much.
How about that, you all? Woo-hoo! Colin Allred and Julie Johnson. Thank you all so much. And if you thought the progress that we made in 2018 was something, wait till 2020. I just got back late last night from a trip to California where we had a briefing on how dollars were going to be invested across the country. And